All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Wounds of Wives video series, a video series for wives and husbands believing God for a baby. I am your host and founder of Fervent Servant, Darlicia Menzie, and I'm so excited that you could join us today. Our desire for Wounds of Wives is just to really pour into those wives and husbands who are seeking God for a baby. We understand that this is something that we don't usually talk about on a normal basis, but it's a very real thing that is hard to deal with. And so we just wanted to create a platform for us to build community and to share encouragement with one another as we believe God for the baby that He has promised us, or the babies. because I want many, okay? And I have some special guests today. Here they are. Jada and Lance Calicutt. Will you please introduce yourself?
I'm Jada Calicutt.
And I'm Lance Jada.
See, they just so humble.
Oh, yeah.
So Jada, can you please tell the people how you and I met?
Oh gosh. Okay. I met the wonderful Darlicia through Noni. Shout out to Noni.
Shout out.
Okay. Yes, met her through Noni at one of her Bible studies, and we connected on Facebook, and we connected at the Bible study, and she's just been a great friend ever since.
Oh, ditto.
Awesome person
Ditto.
to know.
And Lance and I just met today.
That's right.
We clicked already.
That's right.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, can you guys just tell us about your marriage story? How did you meet? How did you propose? What got you to this place today?
Ooh, you got time?
We always like to hear that, don't we, y'all?
I want him to take this.
All right, so
I want him to take this.
Okay.
basically we met. It was in January. It's with my little cousin Kiara and Solomon Howard. Their daughter Karen. It was her birthday party, and I was really debating on going to the birthday party anyway. So I was like, let me just go support my cousins. And then walking down the stairs, I saw Jada.
See, he's sorry. He's
I saw
sorry.
Jada, and I was just like,
Keep blushing.
Ooh, he making it feel like the first time I
I was walking down the stairs, I saw Jada, and I was like, man, who is that? I was talking to my friend, like, who is that? Like,
Who was that?
He's like, oh, that's Jada. She go to our church, whatever. And so then we was talking, really communicating, really connected the first day,
Yeah.
the first night, really.
Yeah.
And we was on the couch just talking the whole night long. And then one thing that led to another. Next week went on a date. And
People still go on dates,
right? Yeah, we went out on a date, and the thing, I think it was a second or third date. We was at Steak and Shake, and that really just like propelled everything. Like we really knew, like, yeah, I like, yeah, I know she's the one.
Zing, he doing a third day, y'all. Zing, girl, what you do, girl?
Just myself.
I love that. I love that. So how did we get to the point of proposal?
Proposal.
I'll let you take that.
Proposal. It was just a time in our life that I felt like I really had to step up as a man and really just make Jada my wife, and it was just Jada, it was just a time that was the time we had lost London, and I was just really just saying, like, it was really just tearing me in my heart, just like, man, we gotta do things the right way. We gotta really just follow God's plan and really just make sure, he gave me all the signs and signals that she was the one, but I just had to just continue to fulfill the plan. And so I proposed to her.
It was so magical.
It was for her birthday.
It was like, oh my goodness. Like, I was overwhelmed. Honestly, was overwhelmed with joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what you wanted, and it happened. Look at that.
Yeah.
So I heard from Lance, fellas, that there is a level of commitment that has to happen in order to take your relationship to the next level. I heard them say that, and he listened to the Lord and say, I want to do things differently. I love this woman, and that's great, but I know there's another call. There's a requirement of me, and that's what he wanted to do. And so he did it. And he wasn't afraid, you know. And so let's just throw that little nugget in there. Y'all know I'm gonna give y'all golden nuggets, okay? Just throw that little nugget in there real quick, okay? Yeah. Okay, so y'all tell me about how long y'all been married?
We've been married for a year and a half. In July, on the 2nd, it will be 2 years.
Oh, it's coming up. We love that.
It feels like I've been married to him for like 10 years. So like, you know.
How many of y'all can agree? I can agree. It's about to be 5 years for me and Anthony, and it feels like it's been forever. Yes. So I heard you talking about baby London, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us about the story of your desire for children, trying to have a child, having a child. Like, what's that all been about?
So, you want me to take that one? Okay. So, with London, so we were at the time not trying. Mm-hmm. We were just backtracking before he took the man step and proposed to me. We were, God had shown us that we were husband and wife, and, we were dating, and we had started off on a good course. We were waiting until we were married. Mm-hmm. That was the plan, and we were walking with Christ, and we have those boundaries in place. And of course, when you get comfortable and you really start liking and loving someone, then you let those boundaries kind of down.
Yes,
and
the heat. Right? Yes, come on, heat.
Next thing you know. So yeah, so we started having premarital sex. And right before he left for college, I found out I was pregnant.
Right before he left for college.
Girl, talk about between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Because the plan was that, he was going to go away to school, and then he was going to propose to me. We were going to be engaged for a year, get married, and then have kids.
So they had a plan.
The whole time, right. We had a plan. And the whole time being, celibate. But it didn't happen that way. We fell short. We struggled. And so, I found out I was pregnant. And I didn't have him stay home because I wanted him. I was like, okay, especially now if we're going to have a baby, you need to go to school and get that degree.
Wow.
Because we still were like, this is not changing the course of plan. We still want to get married. We still want to move forward with our lives. Yeah. So he went away to school, and I stayed back home, and I worked, and I was in school as well at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was really, it was really scary. We felt a lot of different emotions. It was scary because it was just like, what are we gonna do? Like, we were about to take care of a human. Like, what are we gonna do?
I know.
It was a lot of disappointment because we were already disappointed that we were fornicating anyway, but then we were disappointed because now, we're going to have to face everyone. It's going to be open now that we've been doing this, because we've been portraying that we've been, celibate, but now here we are. It's evident, baby didn't just fall from the sky, and so, and we felt shame and guilt, and it was just like, but we were like, we're gonna do it though, So, it was great. It started off kind of rocky, but then we started getting excited, and I remember we found out. Before we found out the gender, we got to hear the heartbeat. That was exciting. I cried. So that was exciting. It was like the first time you see it flicker and first time you hear it, it's just like, oh my goodness. And so then, and after that, we just started getting excited and making plans and everything. And we found out the gender. And a funny story. So I was having a really sick day in my pregnancy, and we went to the ER, and the nurse was like, she's like, oh, so do you guys know the gender yet? We were like, no, we don't want to know because we're going to do a gender reveal. She's like, well, it's a boy.
What?
I was like, oh my goodness.
What?
I was so upset with her. I'm like, didn't you just hear me say?
She wasn't listening.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was just excited. So then we got excited because we were like, oh, well, whatever. We're having a boy. We'll still do the reveal. So then we go to our anatomy appointment, and we found out it was a girl. And I burst into tears. We had the name. You're like, okay, it's going to be Lance Jr.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we burst into tears because we were just like, oh my gosh, we're having a girl. So we did the gender reveal, and that was so exciting. We did an ugly sweater gender reveal party.
Aww.
And it was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And so, and so we decided, Lance actually came with her name, London Michelle. London He just liked the name London. We knew he wanted to name our kids L names.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
As
Michelle.
all families do.
Right, right. Keep that going.
Keep it going.
Keep the L train going. And then we did Michelle. That was my mother's middle name, and then his sister's middle name. Yeah, and then of course Calicutt. And so so then we started buying clothes and just making plans.
Yeah.
And so then it was a Friday. I'll never forget. I was at work and I was just like, I haven't really felt her move as much because she used to be jumping like Jordan, like
jumping like Jordan.
I used to be like, okay, I'm gonna need you to chill out, little baby.
Yeah.
So I wasn't feeling her move as much. So I went to the ER. And they were like, well, she has a strong heartbeat, so it's just first time mom nerves. But it was that in my spirit,
you felt something.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. So then 4 days later, I still hadn't felt her move from that time. So I went back to the ER. I told my mom, I was like, can we go? And so we went, and they pulled out the Doppler to listen for her heartbeat. And so then they couldn't find it. So they're like, well, let's go get the ultrasound machine and we'll see what's going on. So they go get the ultrasound machine, and I knew at that moment something's wrong because she started stalling. So she's like, oh, here's the feet, here's the arms, here's the legs, kind of trying to buy some time.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm sorry, it's not a heartbeat. And those were, so Lance wasn't there. He actually was at home. I had called him, but he was asleep.
But your mom was there.
Yeah, but my mom was there with me. So I'm sure everyone knows what it feels like in a movie where everything is like going on around you, but like you're like stuck in time. It's almost like time stopped. And I was just like, I cannot believe this. Like, I was literally shocked. And so then like I started crying, and I was just like, I remember the nurse was talking, my mom was saying something, but I was just like, here. And so I just started panicking. I was just like, Lance, like, what is he gonna say? So I was calling him, he wasn't answering. I knew he was asleep because it was 7 a.m. He likes sleeping late. And so I actually called my mother-in-law, and I was telling her what's happening, and I told her to call my sister-in-law who was at home to wake him up and tell him to get to the hospital right away. So he woke up and he called me, and I remember just being so scared because I was just like I don't want to tell him this, like, I don't want to break this news to him. So, and I just remember him saying, what happened? I was like, I have no idea. So he gets there, and they take me upstairs to another ultrasound room because once they find out that there's no heartbeat, they have to basically confirm that, the death. So they get up there, and again, they're like, sorry, she's gone. And then it's just like, that's when it like really, really hit me. So I don't even remember, like, I kind of like blacked out. Like, I remember when I came back, like, the nurses were gone. Like, I just remember screaming the whole time. So then once we get back downstairs, I had to talk to the doctor, and she's like, well, you have to make a decision, either we can do a DNC, or we can, which is basically where I would go under, and they would kind of like disassemble her body parts, take her out, or I could go ahead and they would force my body into labor, and then I could have her. So we had collectively decided together that we wanted to see her. We didn't want to do a DNC, we wanted to see her. So came back, we went home, packed our bags, came back that night, and they induced me at 8 o'clock, and then I had her the next day at 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah, 9/11.
And how far along were you?
I was 22 weeks and 3 days. So I was supposed to be in the safe zone.
Right.
So we were devastated, to say the least. The birth was really, it was powerful, but it was really sad. It was, usually when a baby is born, it's joy, it's tears, but it's tears of joy. It's excitement, but it was quiet. Yeah. It was just me screaming and crying. It was quiet. It was tears. Even the nurses were upset, and it was just a baby that was lifeless. Wow. So it was very devastating. But we did get to stay in the hospital for 2 days with her. They kept her body next to our bed. They kept her on ice. Yeah. And we just got to just spend time together and spend time. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
And spend time with her. Sorry.
It's okay.
And it was nice. They let us take pictures with her and just kind of do like the same normal stuff that you do with a baby that's alive. Yeah. And the hardest part was just when we were getting ready to leave and just having to say, you know, goodbye. It was really hard leaving the hospital. They gave you like a little, when you lose a baby, they give you like a little box that has like a lock of her hair and the outfit.
Her teddy bear.
Yeah, her teddy bear. And then we got to take pictures together, which was nice. But it was just really hard leaving the hospital. Everyone else was like rolling away with their babies and just leaving with a purple box.
Yeah.
It just felt empty.
Yeah.
But so that was our experience with her. And then a week later we had her funeral, and you know, we got to say our final, you know, goodbye, at least here on earth.
Yeah.
And it was really, really hard. It was a really hard process. But God got us through.
Yes, amen.
He is faithful.
Yes, he is. Wow.
So
I can just hear, thank you. Thank you for pouring your heart out and sharing those intimate places and pieces with us, of those memories of your sweet baby girl. It takes an extreme amount of courage and strength and bravery to, one, share your story and to live through it and to just allow other people in. And so I just want to commend you on that, mom, woman of God, for being vulnerable enough to be strong even in that moment that feels weak, right? Yeah. So Lance, what was that experience like for you as dad, as husband, as man?
It was tough. It was really tough for me, especially like you said, like just going to sleep the night before, just thinking everything's alright, thinking everything's good, and then to wake up and your whole life just does a 360 with a phone call, just saying, oh, your daughter who you've been expecting and wanting, and like Jada said, we were starting getting happy, like the doctor said, we was in the safe zone basically, and to hear that, it was just devastating. Yeah. And like I said, the experience of being in the hospital, it was like 4 or 5 days. It was tough. It was tough. Like I said, being on the bedside of Jada and our daughter, you know, just sleeping there, and then, you know, it was crazy.
It was
and
hard.
Then, like I said, the hardest part was, like, you know, once we went in the hospital and then they gave us like the second opinion, it was just saying, and then like truly, because I was always like, just, all right, God, come on, make it way. I was thinking, I was going to the hospital, I'm thinking, like, I know everything's gonna be good, and then to really just hear it, like, oh, your daughter's passed, and then right after that, just the sound. To this day, I just remember Jada just screaming, like the whole hallway was just like she's just screaming, and then like I said, it was just devastating, and it was hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine, and you guys may be able to relate to their story. I can imagine just the paralyzed, the feeling. He's talking about the sound in the hallway of his wife, you know, going through that memory, going through that pain, going through that agony of, gosh, we just lost our first child. And I wonder how many of you can relate to that and can feel what they felt. You know, it's very, very real. But I love how these two are sharing that, one, that God is still in control. He's still in control. And I hear them talking about, you know, I prayed and I'm like, okay, God, you can take care of this. How many of us have prayed that prayer before? God, like, we're your children. We're doing what you ask us to do. We're trying to do things the right way. We're seeking you. We're praying. And then you let this happen, right? How many of us have gone through that? But I believe that God can use anything. He can use anything to bring about glory for his name, even that which brings us pain, right? We know that Jesus took on the cross for us. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's like, Father, will you take this cup from me? Will you take it? Will you take it? But he knew what the purpose and calling was, so he endured it. And like many of you, and like this couple here, it hurt. Will you take this away? Will you bring that which you've promised us? Will you give it to us? But God, for your glory, for your will, right? And so I'm interested to know, some of those internal thoughts and feelings. And we all know what you said earlier when you first got pregnant, is that people are going to say this, people are going to say that, you know. What was the story now? What was the internal thought now? What was the feeling that consumed you now?
I was embarrassed. I was extremely embarrassed because I was just like, you know, we hid it, you know, because like I had talked about, we went through shame, we went through guilt, we went through, you know, those type of condemnation even. I know we're not under it because we're in Christ, but, you know, those are things that you go through when you know that you were having sex and you weren't really supposed to be having it, and you get pregnant. And once we finally got the confidence to come, right, and came out, you know, okay, you know, this is our story, then I have to come back and be like, oh, wait, never mind. You know, and I mean, it sounds silly because why would you be embarrassed? Like, you know, who would be upset about that? But I think it was just like, you know, the expected end that you that you want and that you think is a baby. But now I got to come back and tell you, no, you know. So, and then just having to deal with like oh, I'm sorry, and everything happens for a reason. And, well, the Spirit of the Lord told me, you know, it's just like, I don't want to hear that, you know, like,
come on.
I don't want to hear that.
That's right.
I don't, like, you know, so that's really what I was feeling, just like embarrassed. I wanted to hide, and I did hide for a little bit. I stopped going to church for like a month. I wasn't really on social media. I just kind of you know.
Isolated. Yeah.
But God found me in my isolation.
Amen. Come on and preach.
He did find me. That's where I got revitalized. But that's how I felt, though.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
And me, it was, like I said, it was a time I was still in school, so I wasn't there in school, though. Wow. I wasn't focused. I wasn't, like, I literally had to, like, you know, before that I lost my grandma, too.
Wow.
And so then to lose your grandma in October, and then lose your daughter in January, and then to start back, you know, your life really in school, far from family, you know, in Carbondale and stuff. So it was tough, and lonely. Isolated, lonely. I didn't want to, you know, deal with people. Didn't want to really talk. Really, didn't want to really say too much. And it was just really I think more so I was dealing with just trying to, you know, stick up for Jada, trying to be there for Jada. You know, when it was funny because we both was down trying to stick up for each other.
Trying to lift each other up and barely hanging on. I'm trying to read scripture to you and I ain't even read my stuff today.
It was one of those just trying to lift each other up when we both was like down and just like, but like I said, it was God, really.
Yeah.
It was nothing but God.
Ooh, it was
nothing but God. I'm hearing like having to get back to the regular routine of things. Well, for one, dealing with the loss of a grandma, who I'm assuming you were close with, and then dealing with the loss of a baby girl. So there's two prominent women with his other prominent woman in his life hurting, right? That's a lot on your plate. And then to have to leave, to go back to school, to try to complete something that you once started, but knowing that this is something that's very heavy and very real in your life, right? And were you guys living together at that time, or were you here and he was there?
I did move up there with him.
She moved up there.
I did, I moved up there with him.
Before all this happened?
No, after. After.
So they were even not separated. They were living apart at that time because he was at school, right? And so when she talks about that isolation, when she talks about that being alone feeling, like, I can only imagine, it felt like the walls was probably closing in, the roof was probably coming down. It was pretty dark. But she said God found her in that place.
He did.
What did he do to find you in that place? How can you describe that?
I got to a point where I was isolated even from him. Because then I started, you know, pain can it can really distort your view. I started even wondering, are you even for me? Like, I started accusing him of not understanding. How could I say that when he's going through it with me? But I felt like, well, I carried her. She, you know, you didn't carry her. She kicked me. She didn't kick in you, you know. And so I started closing myself even off from him, and I was very suicidal. I was just like, I just want to be with her, and I know that I wasn't actually going to be with her if I did make that choice, but I was just like, I don't want to be here. I can't I couldn't function.
Yeah.
It was like I could not eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything. Everything reminded me of her. I just didn't want to be here. And I was just like, something has to give or I'm gonna give up. And so and I had also shut myself off from God because I was angry with God. Because just prior to losing her, I had looked at a news story where a couple had just had a baby and had beat it and had stuck their finger down the baby's throat. And so I said, God, so you mean to tell me that they can have a baby, actually conceive it, birth it, and then beat it to death, but then we were going to love our child and ours gets taken. This is unfair.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? You know, so I was angry with him. So I was just like, I'm going to take a break from you.
Right.
Sorry, but, because I'm just going to be honest. I'm transparent.
Please.
So, yeah, I was angry with him. And I felt forsaken by him because I was just like, God, like, and then I also felt like, too, that maybe it was our punishment because we were fornicating. Like, you don't get a baby, no. Like, that's for married people. So, I know we have both felt that way, that maybe this is just what you get for having sex outside of marriage, So, but what I did was I turned, God kept pulling at my heart as I kept, forget you, God, and I don't want to read no scriptures. I ain't going to church. I don't want to hear nothing about that. He just kept with the still small. Yes, he just kept pursuing me.
Pursues you.
And I was just like, okay, Lord, you know what? Okay, God, okay. So I opened back up my Bible one day and I read, I think it was Psalms 134 or Psalms 34, where he's near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Yeah. And I just wept. I just wept. I was like, okay, Lord, okay. And I surrendered and I just bit by bit started reconnecting with him, and my prayer life began stronger, and I started to, though I was still in pain, I started being able to eat. I started being able to sleep. I started being able to say, I can survive this. Yes. And not just survive this, but I can have joy again. Yes. Your joy. I can have peace, your peace. And so,
Amen. She said a mouthful.
I did.
I'm not even going to rush into it. She said a mouthful. I'm going to let that sit and selah. Because, one, God pursues us. He pursues us time and time and time and time again. And we know that marriage is his foundation for everything else that goes on in the world. That family. That he adopted us into. He's created us for family, to be a part of his family. So why wouldn't he want them to have a family, right? Why wouldn't he want you to have a family, right? Yeah. And a lot of the times I think we do get into this place of, am I being punished? Is this for me? Is this really what you want? And that's just the enemy coming in. That's the enemy coming in to deceive us because he wants to lie to us. He wants to get us off track, and he doesn't want us to have the promises of God. But if the desire is in you and your husband, or in you and your wife to have a child, guess what? It's God's will. It's God's will for you. He will never do anything to harm you. Everything that God does is to bless us, to bring us to that expected end that my sister was talking about earlier. It's to bring us closer to him, right? And so maybe this was an opportunity for him to bring you closer to him. And him to bring you closer to each other, right? Yeah. It's nothing like going through tragedy together that really helps you to see each other, right? Not that that's the desire. It's never the desire. Yeah. But God can use anything. He can use anything. And let me tell you today, wives and husbands and wives, that God's will is for you to prosper. His will is for you to be healthy. His will is for you to succeed. His will is for you to be unified in the spirit of the bond of peace. Yeah. That's his will. Right? And so if the devil has been lying to you, and he's been taunting you, and he's been oppressing you, and he's been coming in your sleep, and he's been confronting you with all of his lies and deceit, I'm here to say today that I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. That is not God's will for your life. Yeah. Okay? He loves you, and he's pursuing you, right? And so bring me to the place where now you have a baby, don't you?
Yes.
Yay! Little LJ. Little LJ. Tell us about little LJ.
Oh my goodness. Our pride and joy.
Oh, look at mommy and daddy. Look at them.
So, okay, so I guess speed forward after we lost her. We were like, okay, we're back on the celibacy track. We are gonna, try this again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing about going through that, like with losing her, it did bring us extremely closer. A little too close.
Okay. It happens.
So, but again, though, we weren't trying. So, I thought my Aunt Flo was going to be showing up, and Aunt Flo didn't show.
She ain't show.
She ain't show, y'all. She did not show. She bailed on me, y'all. She forsakes me.
Okay.
So I go home, and I take a pregnancy test that's tucked away in the closet. And so I was like, it's not going to be pregnant. Aunt Flo she running a little late. She going to be here. No. I looked at it, I was like, 2 lines. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So I just felt a lot of fear and anxiety. I was just like, I don't want to be pregnant again. I was not excited at all. I was like, I do not want to be pregnant again. Because just backtracking just a little bit, after we had lost London, we had a nurse Jane. Shout out to Nurse Jane.
Shout out.
Love her. God sent her though.
Aww.
God sent her. Because we wanted answers. As parents, we were like, why did this happen? Because it was such a late loss. And a lot of doctors are saying, we don't see this too often this late. So something's going on with your body.
Even our doctors.
Yeah, even she had no answers for us. She's like, I don't know. And so we were like, well, somebody better find out.
You know that God is the best doctor.
He is. He is. So he sent this lady, this nurse, and she said, well, I'm not saying that you have a blood clotting disorder, but that would maybe explain why she stopped moving, and would explain, it would explain some things. So she led us to Dr. Paul. Shout out to Dr. Paul.
Shout out.
And Mobat. He is a great fertility doctor, by the way. A doctor that deals with fertility and loss and high-risk pregnancies. So God led us to him. And he said, I remember him saying to me, he said, we're gonna figure out what happened. We're gonna find out. And so lo and behold, he called me back a couple weeks later after doing some blood tests, and he said, you do in fact have a blood clotting disorder. So what happened was that when you get pregnant, your blood volume goes up 50%, and your body is over clotting. So everyone's body is supposed to clot, but yours is over clotting.
Okay.
Your blood is over clotting. Easy fix. Just take blood thinners.
Wow.
When you get pregnant, and that will keep your blood flowing so that you can get the baby can get the proper nutrients and oxygen, because that's why she passed, was she wasn't getting oxygen and she wasn't getting nutrients, which is why I was not feeling her move, because she was slowly fading, So fast forward, I found out I was pregnant, and so I was like, okay, Lord,
what's this all about?
God's like, I ain't telling you to do that. No, but so I was like, Lance, we're pregnant again, and he's just like, okay. So I was just like, well, we gotta get married, homie. We gotta.
Is that what you say, Lance?
I did.
We gotta get married, homie.
We gotta get married, homie. We gotta line ourselves up with God's will. We gotta make this right. We gotta, because now we're looking at baby number 2, and we got the answers as far as what happened with London. So now we know how to make this next pregnancy progress. So since we know we're gonna have a family, we need to make this right.
Right.
So we started making marriage plans. And I started going to doctor's appointments. They started me on the medication, and the pregnancy started progressing really well until I got to 16 weeks and my cervix started shortening. By 18 weeks, I had went into labor. At 18 weeks, I went into labor. Wow. I was 2 centimeters dilated. Wow. And LJ was head down.
What?
And my cervix was a half a centimeter, so there was nothing left. Basically, I was getting to have him, and a baby can't survive at 18 weeks, so we would have had another loss. But by the grace of God and my awesome doctor, he was able to do emergency surgery and stitch my cervix closed.
Wow! Thank you, Lord.
Yes,
thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Because it was God's will. It was God's will. That's our promised child, but and our miracle. But yeah, so I had emergency surgery, and then I was on bed rest after that. But LJ decided he still was gonna come. So at 34 weeks, yeah. So at 30 weeks, my water broke, and Lance was actually on the game. And I was getting out the shower, getting ready to go to sleep. And I was just like, wait.
Oh my God.
I was like, Lance, I think my water broke.
No, first you thought it was the shower.
Yeah, I thought it was the shower. I was like, okay, I didn't drive good. So I'm drying up and I'm like, wait, no, it's still water.
Gosh.
So I'm like toddling towards Lance. I'm like, Lance, I think my water broke. And he's like, oh, it did. It did. So let's go. So we just started throwing stuff in the bag. And then, mind you, we're 2 hours away.
Oh my gosh.
I was traveling back and forth. Yeah, we were in Carbondale. So I was traveling back and forth to Carbondale for doctor's appointments in 2 hours. So we had to drive 2 hours.
This woman water broke and she want to drive 2 hours. Get out.
Because, okay, I could have went to the hospital in Carbondale, but we wanted Dr. Paul to deliver Lance Jr. So we was like, we'll take the risk.
My God.
So God kept that too. He kept us there too.
Thank you, Lord.
And then we got pulled over.
Oh, take me now. You can drive, Lance?
Yes. But the funny part, because I was like, baby, I'm not in pain. You can slow down. He's like, no, I want to get you there. I want to get us there. Like, I want everything to be okay. But yeah, the cop was like, where are you guys going? Where are y'all headed to this fast? I said, sir, I'm in labor. He's like, oh, do you need escort?
Right. Yes.
We're like, yes, we do. But yes, we get to St. Louis. It's 11 o'clock at night. No, it's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. We left at 11. Okay, yes, my water broke at 11 p.m. So we didn't get to St. Louis till 2 a.m.
Do y'all hear this nonsense?
Right.
Do you hear it?
Look, that cop slowed us up, okay? He slowed us up. We was on a roll. He slowed us up. So we get there, and they're like, okay, well, your water did break, but we still have some time because there's still some fluid left in you. So what we're going to do is you're going to have to stay in the hospital until baby boy is at least 34 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
You were at 30 weeks?
Yeah, I was at 30 weeks. So I stayed at Mobat for a month.
What?
Yep, they gave me a nice, comfy, cushy bed.
Now, I don't think I knew that part, y'all.
Yes,
Has this happened to any of y'all?
Yep, I stayed in the hospital for a month, and they gave me ultrasounds every day. They monitored his heartbeat every day.
Where were you?
Carbondale. He had to finish. Y'all, my husband is amazing. So every Thursday, his boss, his awesome boss.
Shout out to Scott.
Right.
Shout out Scott. Come on, Scott. Shout out to Scott.
Scott let him off every Friday so that every Thursday he could come down and be with me.
Thank you, Scott.
On the weekends.
And thank you, Lord.
Yes.
Favor. That's favor.
That is favor. Because it's mandatory. It was mandatory at their jobs that they would have to work Fridays. But he made a special thing for Lance so that he could be with me. So Lance will come home every weekend and go back to school, finish the week off, and then come right on back to mama. But yeah, so I stayed in the hospital a month, and then I spent Thanksgiving in the hospital.
No.
And everyone brought me food. My husband brought me some food back, and some other family members brought me food. And 5 days later, I started going into labor. My water was already broken, but I actually started going into labor, and baby, them labor pains. Ooh.
I know nothing about
it. So then I get the epidural, and it wore off.
Oh my gosh. You just been going through it.
It wore off. And I gave birth to LJ naturally.
Oh, wow.
Naturally.
All right, LJ. Yeah, you better be watching.
And he came out, and it was a powerful moment. Because it was just like, finally, God, like, what you promised is here.
Like, he promised, but he didn't say it was going to be easy.
Like, right. He didn't say that. And little LJ came out, he was not crying because since he was premature, his lungs were immature. So he didn't come out. He came out blue. He came out a little blue.
Oh, he had a blue baby.
Yeah, I had a blue baby. That's okay. They pumped some oxygen back into him, and Lance ran into the NICU with him.
You better run.
He did. I told him, I said, when the baby's born, don't worry about me. As long as I'm good, make sure I'm good, and then go see about our baby.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yep.
And it was an awesome experience.
Oh, tell us about it. Come on, Lance.
4
4
pounds,
pounds, 4 ounces.
born at 10:11 a.m.
Oh.
And then we had our worship music in the back as I was going through my labor. I had my worship music, and he was, rubbing me and comforting me and telling me I could do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was
So
awesome
Lance,
experience.
baby boy, what was that like?
From the beginning, it was like she said. It was just after losing London, and then it's like, oh, we gotta go through another pregnancy, like walking on eggshells, really. And like I said, God promised it, but He didn't say it was gonna be easy. We had to really fight, work hard, stay prayed up each and every day for LJ. And like I said, when the time came, November 28th, it was the best feeling ever. It was just we both cried.
What day of the week was it?
It was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. And you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you were on break. You were on break because it was the holiday.
No,
time.
he wasn't on break. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was actually on FaceTime with him. So when I was in the hospital, if he didn't come down that Thursday to spend the weekend with me, we FaceTimed every day, and in between his classes and work. So he was watching the game, the basketball game. He was getting ready to go to sleep, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
And those pains kicked in. The doctor came in and checked me. She said, "You're 4 centimeters. We're sending you back to labor and delivery."
Yes.
I was like, "Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!"
I had to rush back down.
You didn't get pulled over, did you?
He didn't.
I did get pulled over.
Thank you, Lord.
And I got there in an hour too, so.
Okay. Oh, Lord.
A 2-hour drive took an hour.
No, I know. I went to school down there too. I know.
Right.
Hold up.
But took 2 hours. Usually 2 hours took an hour for him.
He was not playing about that. He said he had to be there for this baby. Okay.
So I ain't missing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna miss it, and like I said, I'm glad it was. We both cried, so it came out, and it was like I said, it just felt like just a relief. We say relief, just like
it was. You know what? I did just a finally.
Yeah.
Okay, he's here because it's just like I didn't even really connect with him during my pregnancy. I didn't connect with him. I didn't talk like with London. I talked to her. I prayed to her every morning. I read scriptures to her.
Why didn't you connect with LJ?
Because I felt like it was gonna happen again. I did. I felt like it was gonna happen again, and I was like, I do not want to. The way I internalized it was that if I don't connect with him as much, then if he leaves, then it won't hurt as much. It hurt me a lot with her because it was my really first for real pregnancy, and like I connected with her. I was excited. Like I prayed with her, she would even respond to when I was playing worship music to my stomach and stuff, she would respond. So we just really had that strong knit bond, and you already have a strong bond anyway. So I was just like, I'm not going to have that with him just in case, and especially after we almost lost him at 18 weeks, I was just like, I'm really not going to connect with you. So, it was hard, but once he came out though, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love you. Yeah. I love you so much. So, and we connect. Me and LJ got our little bond, and we especially got our bond now. Child.
Did you go through postpartum depression at all?
I did.
You did?
I did very badly.
Yeah.
I did. Child. Okay, so LJ actually had to stay in the NICU because he was born early, a month and a half. And so he actually stayed 2 weeks, Godspeed. They projected he was going to have to stay until January, but he proved them wrong.
Wow.
He only stayed 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so
first, let me tell you, you was in the hospital for a month.
Then
he got here, and then he had to stay an additional 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so while I should have been home resting, I had to pump milk at home and bring it to him, and I just wanted to see my baby, so I was going back. He went back up to Carbondale to finish off before winter break, and then I stayed home, and I had to I stayed with my in-laws. Shout out to my in-laws.
Shout out.
They took really good care of me, and then I went back and forth to the hospital. I really spent pretty much all day. The nurses had to tell me to go home and get some sleep. I was like, I want to be with my baby. So so while I should have been resting, but that was really hard on me though, because I was just like, you know, I was processing a lot mentally. And then it was also coming up on the time, it was going to come up on a year that we lost London. So I was feeling all these emotions. I'm tired. I'm running back and forth to the hospital, pumping milk all hours of the night so that he can be getting breast milk. Then I'm still thinking I'm celebrating the baby that I have, but mourning the baby I lost. And it was just like,
it's a lot.
A lot, yeah. I mean, because we only got pregnant just 2 months after losing her. So we really got pregnant too quickly after her. So I really didn't get a chance to heal. So once I got home with him, I was just miserable. And I was just like, God, like, I prayed for this baby. Like, I was excited. That's his little toy, right? Look at the baby doll. Yeah. Look at it. We got him on our plan, our data plan. I was like, but no, like it was just, I was just like, God, like what is this? Like I didn't want to breastfeed him. Every time he cried, I got upset. And I didn't know at the time it was postpartum depression. I was like, what's wrong? I just thought I was being ungrateful. Right. I was like crying. Wow. We were arguing. It was a lot of tension. I really only took care of him because I had to take care of him. I already didn't have a bond connection with him anyway because I didn't connect with him through pregnancy. So I was even distancing myself more when he got here because I was just like, you know, I can't get sleep because of you. Wow. I don't have peace of mind because of you. I was putting everything, you know, on the baby. Wow. I had thoughts of hurting him. I had thoughts of like, you know, maybe we shouldn't have had this baby. Maybe I should have aborted it. Maybe I wouldn't feel like this if he wasn't here. I would just get angry with him. I was impatient. And I just knew that something was like wrong. And then once we got back to Carbondale from winter break, I was alone with him. Lance had to go to class and he had to go back to school. And it was winter, so we couldn't take the baby out. Right. So I was cooped up in the house all day. Yeah, exactly. And then when I got home, I mean, Lance helped, but the baby really wanted mommy. Right. So it was just me all the time. And so I was just really, really in a dark place. Like the thoughts that I had were starting to scare me. And I think I was getting upset with him because I was trying to explain to him what I was going through. Right. And he was just like, well, what's your problem? Like, we had this beautiful baby. We just went through a loss. Like, what could possibly be the problem? Right. So we were having a lot of tension because I'm just like, you don't understand what I just went through physically a year ago and then what I'm going through physically now. And but I think he realized finally once I had a meltdown. I finally reached my breaking point. I left the baby, I left the house, got in my car, and I was going to go drive off a bridge somewhere. And so then my mom was calling and he was calling and it was the Lord. I was sitting on a parking lot deciding, okay, Lord, what I'm going to do. And the Lord, get back home.
Come on, Lord.
Get back home. I'm going to keep you. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep you. I'm going to sustain you. Yes. You can do this. Yes. You will not take your life. And I went back home. And then he was like, okay, let's get you some help. Yeah. I think in that moment he realized like, okay, this is real for her. Yeah. You know, I don't understand it, but it's something going on.
So let's talk about that. What did you see, and then what finally got you to this point of, wow, my wife is going through something right now?
Yeah, so it was really, I'd say it was just based, like I said, she started distancing herself from me, and I started noticing that. I started noticing like she was just acting weird, just always angry, always mad. And like I said, I was most of the time I was confused. I really didn't, crying. I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. Like I said, we trying to take her to LJ right now, and you doing this.
Right. That's like, girl, what is up? Yeah.
That's what he literally said. Like, why are you doing this? We trying to take her, baby. What's wrong with you, girl?
Yeah. But it's hard to understand.
Yeah, it's hard to understand, and especially like, experiencing firsthand too, it's just like on another totally different level. So, like I said, the night she was just the big meltdown. That's when I really realized, like, okay, something's going on.
Time to get help.
Yeah, time to get help. Time to talk to people about it. really just tried. We really got into the word deep after that. After
Golden nugget.
Yeah. After that, we really got into it and just like continue to get her doctor's help as well as God's help as well too. So
that's good. That's good. So you got deeper in the word. You finally understood that something was different. This is not my wife on a normal basis, so something must be going on. Let's get some help. How did you get through it?
So the first thing I did was I opened up to, the very first person I opened up to was him, which surprised me because I'm just like, I distanced myself from him completely because I was like, he doesn't understand. And I didn't want to feel judged because some of the stuff that I was going through and thinking and feeling, I was like, if I say this out loud, they may even take my baby from me. Right. So
that's good, y'all.
Yeah, so I told him, and he was just like, I understand, whatever you want to do, I support you. Let's get it done so that he's like, I want my wife back. This angry, crazy lady, I don't want this lady in my house. Yeah. So then I opened up to my mom about it. I only opened up to just a few people. I didn't talk to a lot of people about it because, like I said, I was embarrassed and I was very isolated. So I talked to my mom, my grandma, and him, and they all agreed, like, you need to get some help because we don't want you to hurt LJ. We don't want you to hurt yourself. And we want you to deal with whatever it is because we don't want you to be tormented. Because it was literally like torment. So I finally went to my postpartum checkup appointment. And I told her, look, I told her everything. And she's like, okay. So they sent me in a prescription. And the medication was, I knew that wasn't going to deal with what was going on underneath, but it was going to help take the edge off. It was going to help kind of calm down the thoughts because it was like I was on edge. I really couldn't even read the Bible or pray because like these thoughts were just, So I got on the medication and then the Lord led me to a counselor. So I started getting counseling and little by little, bit by bit, things started getting better and I was able to eventually start getting off my medication. And I don't get counseling now, but that avenue is still there if I need it. But once he felt like I was in a better place, then we decided, okay, we can stop the counseling for now. But I think we can say you definitely saw a difference in me once I started getting those things in my system.
Yes. You guys, we are advocates of counseling.
Oh, yeah.
We need prayer. We need God. We need the Holy Spirit. We need Him to break those chains. We also need people who are qualified, who are certified, who are licensed who do this in order for us to have an outlet as well here on earth. And so if you're struggling with some of these things that we've been discussing throughout this video, it is okay. There is no stigma. I know there's one out there, but again, it's another lie. It's another tactic of the enemy to keep you from being your best self. And so if you need counseling or therapy, if you need help, go and get it. It's helpful. It's there for you. Okay. So you guys now have baby LJ. Yes, so you've got your baby here and you're loving on your baby and you're getting help and you're getting better and you guys are growing together as a family. Do you have a desire for another child at this point?
Yes.
Why? Why do you have a desire for another child?
It's so funny because on our third date, the Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake, y'all need to go.
We went to a movie and we went to Steak and Shake afterwards, and we just like had the best conversation. We planned our whole life out, y'all. I was like,
third date.
Yes. Like we were just talking about. I was like, I don't believe in divorce. He's like, I don't believe in divorce. We talked about how we wanted a house, what type of career we wanted, ministry. We talked about everything. And the one thing we said was we wanted 5 kids. Oh. And I was like, oh my gosh. He said it first. I was like, I want 5 kids. And so I was like, this is, God, okay. Because when I was dating, like in the past, dudes would just be like, 5, bye, peace out. So we both wanted a big family. And so, yeah, I mean, that was kind of like, our basis. We knew that we would want, another child. Children are just blessings. LJ, I mean, he can get on our nerves. But then there's just times where you just look at him, we're just like, he's just so cute.
Yes, that's yours.
And just really, but also getting to raise him up in the Lord and getting to do things that maybe our parents didn't do with us. And just the honor that God would allow for you to be responsible over someone else's upbringing and their spirit and their soul, and you know, so yeah.
And so I know that there was talks of another baby, right?
Yes.
And then something happened.
Yes.
Talk to us.
So after we had LJ, I wanted to stair step my kids, as they say. So I wanted these mugs back to back to back, like. And we talked about that too at Steak and Shake. We were very detail oriented.
Detail oriented.
we were. I was like, oh, okay, yes. Make yourself clear, sir. So yeah, but no, I wanted to stair step them. And so we were not necessarily trying purposely, but we weren't preventing. So it was just like we were lax about it. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So like I wasn't like checking my temperature and like checking ovulation, you know. It was just like, you know, we do the do, whatever happens, happens. And so then I came back from, we had went to Kansas City, came back from a trip, and I noticed I was a little snappy, and I noticed I had what I thought was flow, but I was still spotting, and I was kind of like eating, and you know, eating a lot and frequent urination, you know, those type of symptoms. And so I was like, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test. And so then I took one, and it was positive.
Wow.
It was right before church. He was still asleep.
He was sleeping.
Huh? And so I woke him. I was like, babe, look. Wow. But this time, unlike the other two times, I was extremely excited.
Okay.
I was very excited because even though he was lax about it, I was just like, I want another baby. I want another baby. So I was super excited. But then I was like, ooh, I've been cramping. I started thinking back. So then I panicked. I was like, wait, what was that bleeding? What was this cramping? So we went to the ER that exact same day. They did the test and stuff, and they were like, well, you're 4 weeks, but your HCG is low, so we want you to follow up and go to the doctor to make sure your HCG numbers are doubling. So went to the doctor 2 days later. They were not doubling. Oh no, they did double. Excuse me, they did double, but they were like, it was slow though. It wasn't what they projected. Like, you know, as you
early on in pregnancy,
right? They should be, you know, the numbers should be going up high. So they weren't going up as high as they wanted. And so then they said, well, we're still gonna wait it out. We waited it out another 2 days. They retested. They called me that next day, and they're like, sorry, but we think that this is an impending miscarriage, so be ready for bleeding, be ready for spotting, you know, or in cramping. And so when I hung up from the phone, I was just like, God, wait, like, not saying that, you know, just because you go through something once, you shouldn't go through it again. But we did. I mean, we did. We were like, okay, you know, we figured out the issue with why we were having the loss. So we figured, you know, we shouldn't have to experience that again. So I called him, and we FaceTimed while he was at work, and I was in tears and I was upset. But this time my reaction was a little bit different. It's a song that people may know by Anthony Brown, Trust in You. And so I was just playing that song and crying out to God. I ran straight to God this time. Because I'm like, you know, Lord, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going straight to you. Because he had brought us through too much and showed us how faithful he was. And though it hurt, I was like, though you slay me, yet will I trust you, period. And so I was just like, okay, you know, it's okay. It's all right. You know, God knows best, period. He knows best. He sees way further ahead than we do. You know, this hurts. It's devastating. But we're going to trust him, and we'll try again, you know. It's okay. So we think it's over. And I go back to the doctor to make sure that my levels are going down, and they're actually going up. So I'm like, wait, could this maybe be viable, you know, because they're going up? Because sometimes doctors do get things wrong. And so they did an ultrasound. They're like, well, we can't locate a baby, but your numbers are rising. So they're like, that's concerning. That's kind of pointing to maybe an ectopic. And an ectopic is when the baby is located and the baby, you have conceived a baby, and it's fertilized, but it's fertilized either in the tube or some other place in your body that it can't grow and actually live. So, they were like, well, just take methotrexate, which is a drug. It's a drug that treats cancer. And what it does is it stops the multiplying of cells. And they use it for ectopics just in case since it's in the wrong spot, it'll stop it from growing,
Right.
and then it'll dissolve back into your body. But I didn't want to take that because I was like, well, they did also say that it's a chance it could still be viable. They were saying, well, maybe we're wrong. So they're like, let's just wait this thing out. So waited out, and I did start bleeding really heavy. We went to the emergency room, and then they confirmed that it was a miscarriage, and that and they tested my HCG levels, and they had went down. So we were like, okay, this is over. This nightmare is over. Well, no.
What?
Yeah, so after that, I go to my doctor to make sure that my levels are going down more, because they should keep going down when you miscarry. They went back up. So, and I'm bleeding at this point, so I'm like, this is not making sense.
Right.
You can't be bleeding, and I'm supposed to be dispersing the tissue, but my numbers are going up. Something's not right. So she's like, we want to do a DNC so that we can go in and see, is this baby is it in the uterus or is it somewhere else? That will confirm for sure if it's ectopic or not. So I went and got a DNC done, and the pathology report came back right away, and they said that it was never ever a baby in the uterus. So it is for sure ectopic. So the next day I went and took the methotrexate, and still not over.
The process.
Yes. So I take the methotrexate. That was supposed to dissolve it. That was supposed to be the end of it. Well, the next day I wake up it was like midnight, and I was in excruciating pain, like doubling over. So I text my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm in a lot of pain. I didn't bother him because he had to get up for work. I didn't want to bother him. So I text my mom, and I'm like, can you come and drive me to the hospital? So she comes, and I get little LJ ready, and we all mob to the hospital. And so they ended up giving me fentanyl because I was in that much pain, and that didn't work. That's how much pain. Ectopics are painful because it's in the wrong spot. It's growing.
Right.
So at that point, they did an ultrasound. They're like, well, you have blood in your uterus, so we project that your tube may have ruptured, if that's where it's at, that your tube is ruptured, or that there's some type of rupture. And I was just devastated because I was just like, oh my gosh, my tube, wait, that's my baby maker, I need that. So the doctors are like, at this point, we're gonna have to do a laparoscopy. We're gonna have to go in, and we're gonna have to just take this baby out. We're just gonna have to remove it because I had waited too long to take the methotrexate, so it didn't do its job.
But they told you that because they were trying to see if they were still viable or not.
Exactly. And so the baby just kept growing. God rest that baby. It was holding on, y'all. That little baby was fighting. So
my breath is taken away just listening.
I know. It was crazy. So hubby, I told him I was gonna go to surgery, and he's like, well, I'm coming. So he took off work, and he came in and to get LJ and stuff and be with him and be with me. And I went under surgery. I was in surgery for about 2 hours. Yeah, I was in surgery for about 2 hours. And so, yeah, they cleaned the blood out my uterus. They removed cysts that I had on my ovaries. And they said the baby was attached at the end of my tube and to the back of my uterus. And so, it was like, I really didn't feel anything. I was very numb because I had shut myself off. Like, because at one point they said it was viable, then they said it was a miscarriage, confirmed, but then it turned out to be ectopic. And so I hadn't cried, I didn't do anything except for that initial doctor's call, but I hadn't felt anything. And then on Christmas, it just hit me. It just hit me, and I was just like really I was just really upset, and it hit him too. It was interesting. It hit him the night before, and then it hit me the next day, because it was just like, even though it was early, it was just like, we wanted a baby, and we're married now, and we're like going through this. So it was still hard. Like, even though it was an early loss, it was still hard, and it was disappointing because we actually really wanted the baby, and so, but we just held on to God, and God brought us through that as well. And he was very supportive. He's very supportive through everything from the beginning. He's been supportive, and he's been very selfless, putting me first always. Even though I know he hurts too. He's dealing with it too. He always makes sure that I'm okay, and he's encouraging me and lifting me up and praying for me. I definitely wouldn't have made it through, of course, for God, but if he wasn't by my side. So
thank you for sharing that again, girl. Oh. Child, my little heart over here is just like,
I know.
Lance, who and how did you release all those? Who to and how did you release all these emotions to? Because I know sometimes as men, they don't reach out as much. Like they're dealing with everything internally. Like, what did you do?
It's really, I had to deal with it internally, most of it, but like I said, I did, most of it I did reach out to God. Really, that was the first person I really talked to and tried to get guidance from. And Jada always get on me, getting accountability partners and getting mentors. So we reached out to our bishop a lot. Yeah. Like I said, as a man, like you tend to like just want to do things your own. Feel like you have to do everything on your own. But like I said, there's other people out there, other mentors, and like I said, our bishop, he really helped us a lot.
Shout out to Bishop.
Yes, Bishop Joe Bingham.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bishop.
He really, like I said, we text him. He called me, just encouraging me, prayed me, encouraged me. Kind of gave me things to say, things to do, how to, just how to analyze everything that's going on, because it was so much that's going on.
So fast too.
So
it sounds like.
Everything
was
with
just
us
like,
been fast from the start.
It has. It really has.
Everything has been fast from the start, so it just helped me internalize all of that that's going on. Really.
Wow. So would you say it's important for men to reach out also?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Tell me.
Most definitely. You have to reach out. It's a must, really. Like I said, it's a person only takes so much, and like I said, everything happens so quickly, so fast. And like I said, it's always good to get wisdom and knowledge from other people, because so many people have that and have that, to offer for you. And that's, as a man, I had to, swallow your pride.
Swallow it.
Shut it down.
And reach out, really. And that's really helped me support my wife, support my family.
Amen.
Every decision I made is with, other men, my dad, cousins, bishop, everyone has helped out tremendously.
Amen. So. Amen. We need people. My pastor teaches us that the most important thing in life are not things, they're relationships. Relationships. So, you guys, this is something just so very traumatic to go through. If this is your story as well, it's very traumatic, and this is real, and it's happening, and there's so much that just wants to overwhelm and consume you that you need to get it out. You need to get it out, whether that's through counseling, whether that's through talking to your spiritual leadership, whether that's through supporting one another, which you need to do, and reaching out to those others who may have been there and may have done that as well. Because again, you're not alone. Even though that's the thought, is I'm alone, no one's going to understand, no one's been through this. Yeah. You would be surprised how many of those who are older than us have been through what we've gone through.
Yeah.
Even something as traumatic as this, right? So reach out. Don't be afraid. Don't isolate. Don't think that you're the only one. Don't think that you've done something wrong, right? Reach out and get it out and let the healing begin to take place. And so I'm just so excited.
I know, right?
I'm so excited that this story is being shared. There's so much that you guys have shared with us so graciously, and we really appreciate your transparency and your level of honesty. Yeah. What's next? What's next for you all?
Right. Over here diabolically playing.
Yes.
Well, of course there will be more babies. I'm really grateful to God because as devastated as I was, they were able to save my tube and there was no scarring to it. They were able to save my fertility. So because of that, we'll be able to have more babies. And so, of course, some more children. But we are founder and co-founder of the London Foundation. So what the London Foundation is, it was birthed from a place, God gave it to me in the midst of my pain. When we lost our daughter, obviously it's the London Foundation, so it's named after our daughter. And what it is a support group and awareness Foundation. It brings
Christian based.
Yes, and it is Christ-based. It is Christ-centered. Absolutely. God gave it to me, so he gets the glory from it. And what it does is that it brings awareness to communities about ectopics, pregnancy loss, miscarriage, stillbirth. It brings all of that, SIDS even as well, all brings that to the forefront of the community because it's happening and it's not being talked about. It's being swept kind of underneath the rug. You go through it. It's something that you're supposed to be ashamed of and you don't share, and it's private. Yet we need each other. The Bible tells us that we need each other. And then two, we provide support and resources. Yes. So we're not counselors, yet we can provide you encouragement, and me and Lance can provide you with the resources. We've teamed up with people that are counselors and are professional that can provide you the resources that you need when you go through a loss.
Yes.
Because
come on,
it's devastating. And yeah, that's what we're about. Yes. So we have some awesome things coming up. In October, we're going to be doing a walk in honor of all the little babies. So it'll be a walk / balloon. Right. Balloon release / candlelight. So we will, everyone that has lost a baby or just even wants to support, come out, we'll all walk together, and then we will release the balloons that have our baby's names on them, and then we'll do a candlelight and prayer. And then, and just, it's a way to connect with others who have experienced that, and just know that you're not alone. Yes. So follow us at the London Foundation on Instagram and the London Foundation on Facebook.
How you spell it?
THE and then London LONDYN. Gotta get that Y. And then Foundation.
Yes, that is so awesome. So you heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen. The London Foundation is going to be having an event in October. Wombs of Wise, Fervent Servant is so excited to have gotten the exclusive.
You guys definitely got the exclusive.
Yes. So if you want to be a part of this, be sure to connect with Jada and with Lance about what's coming up and to become a part of this support system as well. We've just jump-started it now. But they're going to be able to carry you all the way through. And we're going to keep this group here as Wombs of Wise as a place for us to be able to do some of that encouragement and partner with the London Foundation so that we could continue to be a light and a hope to those families who are seeking God for just healing in this area and for their miracles. So I am just so grateful to the two of you for sharing your life, your story, your loss, your gain, your prayers, your heart with us here at the Wombs of Wise video series. What is your last bit of encouragement for those husbands and wives who are going through or may have gone through what you all are experiencing? What would you leave them with? You got something stirring in the belly?
Well, first thing is, like I said, stay connected with God. Always be in tune with Him, and always let His will be done. And that's the biggest thing we learned. After every loss, we really just indulged in the Bible. And like I said, me personally, I read Job, the book of Job, and I just read how he endured so much stuff. And then it even brought to me, I was like, I didn't know the devil had to ask God for permission. So it just let me know that, God is in control of everything.
Yes,
anything and everything. And then basically just learning from that is everything is working and not for our good and for our favor. We saw that those situations was horrible, but come to find out it saved Jada's life. It saved our other children's lives. She paved the way so much, and she really did. And London, she, like I said, she will always be remembered because she did so much for our family. And like I said, every story, every story, like I said, London, she's a part of our lives. The rest of our kids, LJ, it wouldn't be them if it wasn't for London. Wow. So, and that's why I had to realize throughout all of this is God was really in control. His plan was so much further and better for us. Like it was just so much and better for us that we didn't even know at the moment. We was like, oh my God, what is going on? All of this is terrible. But God had it all in control at the end. So
yes.
You better preach.
I'm over here tearing up like, come on.
Yes,
come on.
Me too. I mean, this is just confirmation of the calling that God has on his life anyway, but you know, we'll talk about that later. He don't know yet, y'all, but he
don't know yet.
Bishop Lance. He don't know yet, but that man had a word, okay? You was right, someone stirring in his belly.
He was stirring up, girl, because he laid it out for her.
And you were obedient. That's right, baby.
Just like a wife. You know what I'm saying? Right? I do the same thing.
Look, we have to encourage. Then they come back and be like, baby, you my number one cheerleader. I know.
She knew it from the beginning.
Exactly.
Anything for you? You want to talk to those wives?
Oh, yes. Just believe God. I know there were times where I was just like, you know, maybe you don't have this for me. And where I became obsessed with, you know, I want another baby, you know, and where I just was trying to kind of get ahead of God, and where I was even looking around in envy, you know, and even coveting at times other people, like, well, they get to have a baby and they don't even want kids, you know, and just remember that before you're formed in your mother's womb, you catch that? Did you catch that? Before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew the plans that he had for you. So this baby that will soon be formed in your womb, he knows the plans that he has, and he's setting things up, and that's something I've had to realize about God. He's setting things up. We don't know everything. I know we would like to think that we do, but we don't know everything. You have to trust that if God, especially if he spoke a word to you, that he has it for you. He's not a liar. Like, he's not a man that he should lie. If he's a liar, then we got a whole issue with the faith. We got a pause, stop, like, we got to talk God, but he's not a liar though. So just trust God. Trust that what he said he has for you, he has for you. And just even for couples, you know, don't let loss, especially if you've gone through loss, and even if you're going through fertility issues, don't let that rip you apart, because the enemy looks for a place that he can come in and kill, steal, and destroy. One thing that we were really adamant about is that we're going to stay close. Yes. I ain't saying that we didn't argue. I'm not saying that we didn't have disagreements, but he was very selfless. I mean, he could have easily, when we lost London, for instance, I was looking for ways to blame myself. He did not once say, you know, well, maybe you should have sat down somewhere, or maybe if you didn't go here, we would still have her. Maybe if your body was made, you know, he didn't put it. He encouraged me. He loved me, and even if he maybe did think something was my fault, he never made me feel like something was my fault. And he was always there for me. He always put me first.
Way to go.
And that's what marriage is about, though. It's about serving one another. So just make sure that if you're going through loss, and if you're going through you know, infertility, or if you've been told a bad report by the doctors, or if you're trying to have one, don't blame each other. Don't point the finger. Don't make it about it's your fault. But remember that you're a team, that you're a unit, and unity is powerful.
I love that.
And just stay encouraged. Just stay encouraged. Just stay encouraged. It can be very discouraging. I think sometimes loss and infertility, and when you're trying to have a child, it can be downplayed. It can be like, you know, you ain't really, you know, you'll have a baby when you're gonna have a baby. Right. And it's like, well, this is a genuine desire. I'm desiring something that the Bible says is okay desire. You know, God says he wants us to be fruitful and multiply. Children are a good thing. So I'm desiring this. Just remember that, you know, if you abide in him, he'll answer your desires, if they line up with your will. So, I mean, with his will. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all that I want to say.
Amen. Amen. So, that's all that I want to say. Girl.
I know that's like, oh, that's all?
Well, again, you guys, I'm so grateful for all of you joining us on the Wombs of Wives video series. I pray that something that was said today ministered to you and your husband, or ministered to you and your wife. I echo the sentiments of Lance and Jada. Stay together. Stick together. Don't allow this to be a blame game again, but come together in unity. Pray to God. Speak the word of your life. Don't allow other people to get into your mind to condemn you, because as she said, there's no condemnation for those of us who are in Christ Jesus. You know, God has the best for us. He wants the best for his plan, and his will and his way is perfect. And as Lance said, he's going to use everything for your good. So just wait and watch him work, right? I know sometimes people say things that are out of the blue and they're well-meaning and it just kind of gets under your skin. Tune them out. Remove yourself from the situation if you have to, and get into the presence of God, because we know that in his presence is liberty and there's fullness of joy. And as my sis was talking about, God can restore that joy. He can restore that joy. And that is our prayer for you today. Whether you've lost or whether you're waiting, God can restore the joy that he set on the inside of you. And so thank you again for joining us for this video series. Be looking out for the other videos from our other guest speakers, Carissa Carson, the doula, who's going to come to us with a professional perspective. We got Nicole Harvey Green, who's going to do a prayer for us. I'm going to share my own personal testimony, and Melissa Douglas is going to share her own experience and from the experience as a counselor. And so again, thank you. And we look forward to connecting with you pretty soon. Bye.
Bye.